Grand Prix is sort of the high watermark for race films.
It is, but I have to say, and I have to get back to my original point, is that I remember dragging my parents. I was 7, 8, 9 years old when that movie came out in 1966, and dragging my parents to see that CinemaScope with the great opening shot that starts in one screen that splits 2, 4, and so on and so forth.
At the start, when they're starting before the Monaco
Great
Grand
cutting,
Prix.
great editing, great footage of racing. And I remember just kind of drifting off when there wasn't racing on the screen for those love scenes in between. They just weren't very good.
You were like 6 years old, that's why.
I had no latency period, just like Woody Allen in his movie. But no, I was 7 or 8 and just kind of drifted off when they weren't racing. So again, a great movie, but if you take out all the other scenes, I would love to have a version of it where it's nothing but racing scenes.
See, and Peter mentioned Le Mans, and you mentioned something about Steve McQueen being a great silent film actor. Le Mans embodies that more than anything else. The scene where he stops and stares at the guardrail for about 2 minutes of film time, you're like, wow. Le Mans also, in one respect, is a great racing movie because I contend it captures something about, two things about Le Mans. It captures the astonishing boredom of Le Mans. It actually does, and they do it in a way where the movies, but the pacing becomes glacial, and then the buzz because what's happening is happening so fast. And Le Mans is like this. It's a crazy roller coaster ride. The film's pacing could have been a little bit better, but the racing footage is darn good.
But that's part of the problem here, right? I mean, you know, we're all car nuts. We love seeing some of this old footage particularly, but the plot lines don't necessarily hold up. We're all watching this because we love the cars in it, and especially the older stuff, but we're not watching it because it's a great movie.
Well, I actually didn't mind Grand Prix because if you go back and watch it, there's a lot of layers going on. There's Jim Garner, who's washed up. Mm-hmm. He gets embraced by the very Honda-esque Japanese car maker, and then you've got
played by Toshiro Mifune, by the way.
Right,
he had to be dubbed, I think, for that movie. Right?
Yeah, he was dubbed, and then but you're right.
Yves Montand,
the
Yves Montand is Jean-Paul Sartre.
Yeah,
I mean, what?
but you're right.
It does foreshadowing there, perhaps.
But it does play on multiple levels. I agree, and in that respect,
and Enzo Ferrari character and
played fabulously by Adolfo Celli.
Yeah, and it's all there. So go back.
Well, he looks like Enzo Ferrari. This is the guy that played Largo in Thunderball with the eye patch. And in this, you look at it and you go, he's Commendatore Mineta. Yeah. You know, he is Ferrari. The man is Ferrari.
Yeah, he is.
You know, and apparently Enzo, when Enzo was told that Adolfo Celli, he was like, oh.
You're right. There are some other scenes, but my copy of it, I would edit it down to about an hour or so. I think it's still there's never been a great car movie, a racing movie. I think that could be compelling, but you know, the mix of how much racing do you do and how much of the backstory do you do? I think that's the hard thing to balance.
If you talk about car movies, the first thing that comes out is you find this giant treasure trove of racing films that start in the silent era, and they actually with supposed script or stories, and they run through to recent films. So there's so many more racing films than movies that are about the auto industry, than even probably comedies where cars are a giant part of it.
Well, but and then so many of them use footage from real races, which leads you to wonder why not just watch a film with a lot of real footage from races. I mean, you know, there's
you wouldn't see that many crashes.
Well, you wouldn't see that many crashes.
Let's talk about some movies, though, that did become classics, in which a car played a role, maybe not a primary role, but I'm thinking of The Graduate, Peter. I mean, here you've got this Alfa Romeo that's almost a star in the movie.
Absolutely a star in the movie. And
for decades after.
For decades after, and I contend that Alfa really grew up with that movie. I mean,
it put Alfa Romeo in this country on the map.
Absolutely.
To a large market, yes, you're right.
That's why, you know, talk today about we're going to bring Alfa back. There's a whole generation. Alfa that just doesn't register. But that movie put Alfa on the map. It was great. It just played a great role, too.
And the story is that Dustin Hoffman was the guy who said, let me drive an Alfa, because apparently his uncle maybe was Max Hoffman, the importer, and he was importing Alfas at the time.
One of the original importers.
He goes back to the 50s. Max Hoffman imported Mercedes back in the early years, Porsches and so on.
He basically started the whole import thing.
And so I don't know what they were going to give him, maybe a Porsche 911, maybe a Corvette or whatever, but Dustin Hoffman said, no, make it an Alfa Romeo. And it turns out to be exactly another character in the movie. The scenes where he's driving back and forth between L.A. and Berkeley and top-down wind in his
scene
hair.
through the tunnels in Gaviota.
He's going the wrong way through the tunnels, but it doesn't matter.
Okay,
great scenes.
I got to ask Jim about a movie because I've never heard of this, and maybe Todd and Peter, you know this too. A movie called Faster, Pussycat, Kill Kill. What the? Explain this one.
It's a Russ Meyer exploitation film.
Yeah.
It's really it's almost unviewable, but not quite. The opening of it has this astonishingly incompetently put together race with these three rather voluptuous women racing their sports cars, an MGA, an Austin Healey, and I think a Porsche 356, in the middle of El Mirage Black Lake, or Dry Lake, which is in north of Southern California, or north of LA, and they have tires to sort of race around. And they do this for like 5 minutes in the opening movie, and you're like,
and they're three very violent women, by the way. You leave that part out. I mean, they're very. There's a subtext there that we won't go into here. I mean, it's
a cult film, and there are people that will talk about the movie, and rather than talk about the three women's rather obvious charms, shall we say, they talk instead about this incredibly bizarre race where they're racing each other around the tires in the start of the film.
Because you could watch any Russ Meyer movie and talk about the women and their
Dagmars?
Dagmars, thank you.
It's one of those things, but
sets this apart.
And it's of all his films, there's an argument that one to some way is weird, really, because it's often this weird tangent in the start, and it's like, wow. But no one ever accused the man of really linear filmmaking. So
right.
And to the other extreme, animated film, Cars.
Just it was so unexpected, really. I mean,
Unexpected in what way?
Just on every level, that someone in Hollywood with all the technical and artistic capability would devote all the creative energies to stories about cars. And for car people, it was just like, wow, they actually did that.
They did a good job. It's actually a very entertaining movie for all ages of all groups.
There's someone who gets it, and there's a car movie that gets it.
Because there's something at every level. And I mean, literally, you look in the background, there are things that they've done.
And the detailing is superb.
The characters, doing a Hudson.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Getting Paul Newman to do the Hudson.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
and then cameos like Michael Shoemaker and Click and Clack and so on, yeah.
It's an astonishing thing that, one, they were able to do it, and two, that they pulled it off, and it works as a film. Yeah. See, there's an argument. It may be the car film that works.
I think that's right.
Well, we're running out of time here. We're running out of movies. We're not running out of movies to talk about. We're going to have to do this again. We're going to have to do another show on this. But Todd Lassa, Jim Hall, Peter DeLorenzo, thank you guys for being here. And thank you for having tuned in.
Give me the best set of black walls you've got.
No. You don't know what you want. Luigi know what you want. Black wall tires, they blend into the pavement. But these white wall tires, they say, look at me, here I am.